take a moment tonight, since this is our first meeting. I'll do some housekeeping notes. This is the first time we've gone through this. When something is proposed for revision to be added to the consent agenda, I will ask if there's any objection. The only way something goes onto the consent agenda is if no one objects. And those are matters that this body is consenting as a whole to, and if there's even one person that objects, it will go on the regular agenda for full discussion. So that's a very important time when we're doing revisions, and I call for objections. All right, Alderman Vaughn, do you have further proposed revisions?
Yes, sir. Approval of the board minutes from June 5th is the civil attorney have no objection.
Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Proposed revision from Alderman Vaughn is to place item 4A, the approval of the minutes of the June 4th, 2013 regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville to the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, is that your proposed revision? Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Saying none, that matter has been placed on the consent agenda.
Board business C. Consent agenda.
Proposed revision from Alderman Vaughn is to place item 10C, the approval of the special event request by Ms. Anita Lindsay for Starkville Community Day to be held on July 20th, 2013 with in-kind services in the amount of $2,466.60 as presented on the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, is that your proposed revision? Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter has been placed on the consent agenda. Now, Alderman Vaughn, would you like to address the issue of Ms. Lindsay's public appearance, or would you like her to still make the public appearance?
She's still make a public comment.
No, basically everything's done. We're here for the followers, so everything's.
Ms. Gagnon, will you help us out on this time? Last time we failed to get the sanitation done in the time amount. Will you please get that done in the time
That's why we
amount?
already have that in place.
Thank you so much.
So, Alderman Vaughn, would you like to revise the agenda to remove the public appearance?
Yes, sir. We'll look for those public hearings on the agenda.
Proposed revision from Alderman Vaughn is to remove item 7A from the agenda, which was the scheduled public appearance by Ms. Lindsay as her matter has been approved. Is there any objection?
I don't have an objection, but there were two dates. There was a July 20th date and then a July 28th, and I was
7 of them. We confirmed it's July 20.
20th. Okay.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter has been removed from the agenda. Alderman Vaughn, do you have further proposed revision?
Board business G. Would like to Judge Michael Brooks to move to the planning and zoning committee for Ward 4 with the date of 6/30/15.
Proposed revision from Alderman Vaughn is to move item 10G, the appointment of Michael Brooks to the Planning and Zoning Commission as the Ward 4 representative with the appointment to begin on, the appointment would actually begin on July 1st, right? Or does the appointment begin on June 30th?
And 6/30.
That's when the vacancy was created. We can date it after that or start it today.
Okay, cool.
It's discretion.
All right, so the appointment would be to begin when it was vacated on June 30th, 2013. Alderman Vaughn, is that your proposed revision?
It's okay with Mr. Walker.
Okay.
Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been added to the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, do you have further proposed revision?
I move Ryan Ashford. Consideration of making an appointment to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Alderman Vaughn has proposed revising the agenda to make, to place item 10I on the consent agenda, which is the appointment of Ryan Ashford to the Historic Preservation Commission as presented. Alderman Vaughn, is that your proposed revision? Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, that matter's been added to the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, do you have further proposed revision?
Personnel. Item 1. Move it to consent agenda.
proposed revision from Alderman Vaughn is to place item 11H1, the authorization of the hire of Charles C. Hogan and Katez D. Shields as laborers in the sanitation division of the Sanitation and Environmental Services Department as presented on the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, is that your proposed revision? Do I hear any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Any objections? Seeing none, that matter's been added to the consent agenda. Alderman Vaughn, do you have further proposed revisions?
No, it's not.
No further revisions?
No more revisions.
Are there any further revisions to the report?
Mr. Mayor, I have one.
Alderman Walker.
I'd like to add an item to the consent agenda, for consideration of reappointing all City of Starkville employees not enumerated on the agenda in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135. This may be, this is not necessary. I think it's one that we might want to add just to make sure we're covering all our bases, just to include all employees of the city, to add that to consent.
All right, so the proposed revision from Alderman Walker is to add, appropriately enough, an item Z under board business, and that would be the appointment of all city employees, or the approval of the appointment of all city employees consistent with Mississippi Code annotated section 21-3-5 to the consent agenda. Alderman Walker, is that your proposed revision? Do I hear any objection? Any objections? All right, an objection has been made, so that matter, well, let's consider it a different way. We do still have to add it to the agenda, so the proposed revision would be to add that matter to the agenda, but not place it on the consent agenda. Is there any objection to that? Any objections? Any objection? Any objections? Seeing none, that matter's been added to the agenda. Alderman Walker, do you have further proposed?
I do have one question. I would ask, is it the intent of the board to discuss the qualification and job performance of the city employees enumerated for reappointment that's on the agenda?
It's not a matter, I guess, that it's totally appropriate for discussion this time, because this is not a time for discussion. This would be a time for making potential revisions to the agenda.
I have one more change I'd like to make to the agenda. I'd like to remove item F under board business from consent.
Well, actually, that's not a proposed revision. Any board member can remove anything from the consent agenda at any time. So the change that has just been made from the agenda is by Alderman Walker to remove item 10F from the consent agenda and place it on the regular agenda. That item is the consideration of reappointing Dorothy Isaac to the Park Commission for the term ending on 6/30/2020, representing Ward 6, and appointing Betty A. Robertson to the Park Commission for the unexpired term ending on 6/30/2017, representing Ward 7. Alderman Walker, do you have further proposed revisions?
I do not.
Are there any further proposed revisions from the members of the board? Any further proposed revisions from the members of the board? Any further proposed revisions? Any further proposed revisions? Seeing none, a motion to approve the agenda as revised is in order. Motion's been made by Alderman Vaughn to approve the agenda as revised. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. So you now have before you the approval of the consent agenda, and just a little housekeeping. At this point in our agenda, I will again ask if there is any objection to anything that's been placed on the consent agenda. And this is your last opportunity to object prior to the consent agenda being approved. At that point, all of the matters on the consent agenda are approved if there is no objection. So at this time, is there any objection to the consent agenda? Is there any objection? Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, the consent agenda has been approved. And that will take us to comments by the mayor and board. I have one scheduled comment. I will make just a brief unscheduled comment prior to starting, and that is just to welcome everybody from the public and our new board here tonight. Had a delightful time yesterday, as I hope all of you did, getting sworn in and preparing for the 4 years to come. This is an exciting time of newness and freshness, and it is an honor to be seated here with you tonight. At this time, I'm going to introduce our newest employee, Buddy Sanders. It is my pleasure to welcome Buddy Sanders as our new city planner in the Community Development Department. Buddy is originally from Greenville, Mississippi, and is a graduate of Porter Chapel Academy in Vicksburg. He received his Bachelor of Science degree as well as his Master of Science degree with an emphasis in Community and Regional Planning from the University of Southern Mississippi. Buddy also studied and traveled in Australia and New Zealand. Before joining the city of Starkville, Buddy worked approximately 13 years in planning and regulatory compliance fields, having worked for the city of Auburn, Alabama as a planner and with Georgia Power Company and Verizon Wireless in contract positions with responsibility for regulatory compliance at local, state, and federal levels. Buddy's family includes his mother and stepfather, Myrtle and Wayne Cooper, and his dad and stepmother, Alan and Paula Sanders. In his free time, Buddy enjoys playing softball and spending time with his black Labrador Boomer. Please join me in welcoming Buddy.
Can you guys move in together? Let me take your picture.
I was trying so fast. All right, at this time, do we have any comments by the members of the board? Alderman Mayor.
2 weeks ago during citizen comments here, it came up that one of the citizens on a visit to the new splash pad found it muddy, covered with mud and covered with trash. That kind of disturbs me, so 9 of the past 14 days I've been to the splash pad. I found the splash pad clean, no trash, no mud. In fact, the only thing I found on the splash pad was a lot of children. The Parks and Rec office reported that more children visited the splash pad during the first week that it was open than visited the pool there the entire summer last year. I think my colleague in Ward 7 would agree that splash pad is certainly being used and well used. I'd also like to thank Parks and Rec for hosting a wonderful Dizzy Dean baseball tournament 2 weekends ago as well. That tournament brought over 3,000 citizens to our community, staying in our hotels, eating in our restaurants, and did a good job there. This past week, Parks and Rec hosted Travis Outlaw at one of his annual basketball camps. I want to give kudos to the Outlaw family for continuing to give back to this community and continuing to host those camps. Finally, I encourage everyone here to take advantage of the fireworks. It'll be held at the Sportsplex July 4th and all the activities that afternoon as well. So lots of free food and some ice cream. Come spread out a blanket and spend some time with your family and watch the fireworks.
Any further comments? Alderman Carter.
I'd also just like to say congratulations to each and every one of you. I know you had a hard fought battle in some cases to get here, but I respect you as a person for anybody in the community. City, county level, putting your name in the hat, so I do respect you for being here, and I look forward to a good 4 years. And as the mayor said yesterday, it was an excellent speech about uncharted waters. He was talking about looking at the beach's edge, the ocean's edge, and remember that we are there, and we can chart which way we want to take this ship. And I look forward to it. And if you can do anything for you, or anybody out there, as always, just call me. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any further comments from the members of the board? Any further comments from the members of the board? Any further comments? All right, seeing none, we'll now move to citizen comments. At this time, any citizen wishing to make comments may do so by coming forward, introducing yourself, and you'll be recognized to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes.
Greetings to the mayor and board. My name is Alvin Tom Ward. 7, like to say, I recognize Alderman Vaughn. Citizens, we have a few concerns. We don't want nothing to happen to our city employees that they try to take care of us, that let's respect them. This month, next month is very dangerous, and working, trying to make a living. Let's be fair with our city employees. The next concern is the gun law that they passed. It scared a lot of people. The mental health, we're working hard. It's 4 type people that we definitely do not want to get a gun, and that is the people that psychotic, schizophrenic, bipolar, chemical imbalance like themselves, they do not want those people to get guns. A lot of people are wondering, can they get a sign saying that no weapons allowed, that it can be hard to work under conditions like that. So, but anyway, the mental health is still trying to keep tabs on, hoping that the mental year do not get hands on weapons.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Do we have any further citizen comments?
I'm Alice Carol Caldwell. I live at 403 Gillespie Street, and I spoke 2 weeks ago. And I've also been to the zoning committee twice about Dr. Rose's proposal. There was a chance that was coming up tonight. However, I understand that the engineers did not get the information in time to get on the agenda tonight. I hear that it will be on July the 23rd. I will be attending a family reunion that has been on the schedule for a year. I want to know what I should do legally. Should I write a letter? I won't know what to say because I don't know what the proposal will be on that July the 23rd.
Yeah. I guess it is a matter that would involve a public hearing. Is that correct?
The best thing I can tell you, Ms. Caldwell, is, and I'm not necessarily giving you legal advice here, because obviously my job is to advise the board, but just in general, to make sure your voice is heard, you can write a letter, and that will be a part of the official record that goes before the board.
The other thing is about the historic designation of the Overstreet District. When it was tabled 2 weeks ago, where did it go, and when will it come up again?
It went back to the Historic Preservation Commission, and it will be up to the Historic Preservation Commission to make a subsequent recommendation to the Board of Aldermen.
If they make no difference, what will happen then? They'll just come back to you?
It is up to the board, and ultimately it is always up to the board as to how they'd like to proceed with it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. Ms. Caldwell, could you state your address one more time?
403 East Gillespie Street,
Thank you.
Ward 5.
Ward 5. Are there any further citizen comments?
I'm Milo Burnham from Ward 2. For your information, I was the gentleman that on meeting in the end of June discussed the situation at the splash pad. On Father's Day, when I went over to the splash pad, it was muddy, surrounded by mud, and it was dirty. The fact that it has been cleaned for the past 14 days encourages me to think that somebody heard what I had to say. I hope it remains clean. But on Father's Day, it was not a place where you wanted to be. On another matter, I want to say That's opportunity knocking. And I hope that you, as the Board of Aldermen, will answer opportunity and give it a chance, because tonight you have the opportunity of appointing 3 people to the Parks Commission. There are 6 candidates or 6 applicants, and I would hope that you would base your decisions on the qualifications of each of the individuals. You had the opportunity to look at their credentials. They vary considerably, some that almost seem to be overqualified, but there are certainly some that appear to be not so overly qualified. So I encourage you to use this opportunity to begin the healing process between the city and the Park Commission. Because if you appoint the wrong people, it will remain a festering sore with the city that is going to keep you busy for time and on and on and on. So I hope that you will weigh each of the individuals and look at look at their credentials and appoint them. Personally, I would love to see Jane Lovelace on the Parks Commission because of the fact that she has a lot of experience in working in city parks. I've worked with her on any number of activities. The garden forum out at the horse park, city beautification. I've been on that, I was on that committee for several years with her. She would be a great individual. Alan Morse has tremendous qualifications if you looked at him. And also, what was the young lady's name? Lakeisha Perry presented some very fine credentials. I hope that you'll give them an honest evaluation in appointing these 3 people tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Do we have any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Any further citizen comments? Seeing none, we'll move to public appearances, and we now have 1 public appearance scheduled this evening, and that is by Ms. Jamie Mott on behalf of Volunteer Starkville.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity just to come and present. My purpose tonight is basically to, the city was generously approved us an external contribution for fiscal year 2013, as well as approved our, used to be Big Truck Day, but after I presented to y'all, we went with the tagline Touch a Truck. And so I just kind of wanted to present on the success of our program this spring. And in the panel with me, I have my board president, Barbara Coates. So tonight, basically, I will just briefly mention who we are, what we do, and then the success of our first annual Touch a Truck event and National Volunteer Week. And I apologize that I did not introduce myself. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Jamie Mott, and I'm the director of Volunteer Starkville, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were established in May of 2010 with the purpose of being a volunteer center for the city and county, Starkville and Oklahoma, Mississippi. Basically, we just try to connect volunteers with nonprofits that match their interests and help our nonprofit organizations in the local area in their volunteer recruitment efforts. Our primary partner that will be mentioned tonight is the Maroon Volunteer Center on Mississippi State University's campus. We partner with them on all of our National Day of Service events. In your board agenda packet, I had requested that 2 things be included. Hopefully you got them. Number 1 is our summary of our fiscal 2012 and 2013 accomplishments, and then a 1-pager on our that I'll be presenting on. And just kind of a brief look, I'm not going to go over fiscal year 2012, but if you compare them, our mid-year report for fiscal year 2013, all of our numbers, we've already exceeded a majority of them. So far to date, we have served 64 nonprofit organizations in their volunteer recruitment efforts and providing them with volunteer management trainings. We've been able to recruit and engage 733 volunteers in service projects that we have coordinated through our center, and 533 of those volunteers are engaged on our National Days of Service events, both Martin Luther King Jr. Day and our National Volunteer Week event that I will be talking about. Since last October, we've been able to recognize 763 volunteers in multiple ways. with our volunteer awards banquet that we hold every spring, our volunteer superstar blog, and thank you notes. And overall, between volunteer Starkville events and our nonprofit partners, we've been able to engage 8,544 volunteers in a 6-month period in the community. We've been able to capture that number, and those volunteers have performed 30,749 service hours. Now, that's a lot of service hours, but you might be thinking, well, what does that really mean? When you put a value on something, that always helps, like a monetary value. And the independent sector defines or values of one volunteer hour at $22.14 on average in our nation. And so when you multiply that by the total number of service hours, those volunteers in our community have put back a total of $680,782 into our community. So that's a huge value that service is contributing in Starkville, Knoxville County. Our first annual Touch a Truck, I was really pleased with our turnout. This is going to be our annual spring fundraiser, and when I presented to you, it was the truck day because I still had not found exactly what I wanted to call it. But Touch a Truck just really, it came across to me as what it should be called. Kids got to interact with 20 big trucks provided by departments within the city, Oxford County, and several private businesses. If you see there, I've included a lot of the people that were provided by the city. And the electric department, the street department, the sanitation department, the fire department, and I know I'm missing one. But they were all very nice in bringing out their big vehicles. And the employees of Starkville were awesome. Like, that is the only word I can describe. Especially, I'm not going to put him up on a pedestal, but I do believe his name is Mr. Joe with the sanitation department. He got the best reviews out of everybody. He gave the best interactive display, and the kids loved him. He was just, he got there at 7:30, and he just made my day from the minute he arrived on site. So, Ms. Emma, thank you so much for providing him. He did a great job. Basically, we had, I think it was over 650, but I counted 650 people in attendance. 340 kids attended and had wristbands. We had 22 volunteers that served 70.5 hours that day, and 30 employees manned the trucks. And some of those were compensated, but I do believe the majority of those were volunteer. And between the city, county, and private businesses, our total matching funds for our federal grant was $9,596. Cash was $22.55, and then in-kind contributions, which served as matching funds, were a little over $7,000. That was huge for our organization and will be huge in applying for our federal grant next year, so I cannot thank you enough for approving those in-kind services. And that's just kind of a collage. The fire truck, as always, is a huge hit, and the firemen were, the kids love being in the back of the electrical vehicle with the big, what is that called, bucket truck. And they had a blast. And the UPS was one of our private business sponsors, and according to Alderman Walker, his kids love the UPS truck because they actually cleared out the entire back of their truck and let them climb like on all of the shelves. And then National Volunteer Week. This is basically a day of a week that has been set aside to recognize people in your community, people in the nation that are doing remarkable things. And so, as a volunteer center, we strive to identify those people on a monthly basis, but also during this week. And the way we do this is we partner with the Marine Volunteer Center and organize a volunteer awards banquet. This is our 3rd year doing it, and we are both certifying organizations of the President's Volunteer Service Award, which is a national award that we can apply for. There's 3 different levels: gold, silver, bronze. And then those levels are all based on the number of service hours. And overall, we were able to recognize 356 volunteers. And we also had several events through that where we engaged 425. This year, we focused on promoting childhood hunger in our area and creating awareness about that. We did several different events where we had a Oxfam America hunger banquet. It was an interactive dinner where they basically create awareness about the different economic, social statuses and the meals that you might eat if you were in one of those. It was a really neat dinner. I'm going to be very brief because I'm really running short on time. We had a community garden service project where we worked in 3 community gardens in the area, just beautifying those and enhancing the ones at Starkville Community Garden, Boys and Girls Club, and Emerson Family Center. Just some pictures from there. And lastly, we did a community-wide food drive where we collected 602 food items among several different things. Food drive at Piggly Wiggly, neighborhood food drive, and our hunger banquet and film showing were participants did. We are currently located in Suite 20 of the Greater Starkville Development Partnership. If you know of anyone in the community that's wanting to volunteer, please steer them our way. We can connect them with 64 different nonprofit organizations, and those numbers are growing every day. And so if you have anything, you can always contact me.
Are there any questions or comments from the members of the board for Ms. Mott? Any questions or comments from the members of the board? Seeing none. Thank you, Ms. Mott, and thank you for what you do. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of the election of the mayor pro tempore for the legislative term of 2013 through 2017. Discussion. Alderman Little.
Move appointment of Alderman Roy Perkins as mayor pro tem for the Board of Aldermen for the term of 2013 through 2017.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to appoint Alderman Roy A. Perkins as mayor pro tempore for the legislative term of 2013 to 2017 in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-13. Alderman Little, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the matter?
I feel like being a senior member of the board for the past 20 years, sitting in here, he has the experience and capability to fill your shoes and do it right.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Congratulations, Alderman Perkins. Congratulations, Vice Mayor Perkins.
Utmost and genuine trust, respect, and confidence in me, and I do my very best as Vice Mayor for the city of Starkville.
The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of appointing members of the Board of Aldermen to the Budget and Audit Committee and appointing a chairperson to the committee. Discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Maynard.
in light of the board having 4 new members and the additional need for really looking at salary evaluation and review this year, I would move that we adopt a budget committee made up of the entire board.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to appoint the board as a whole to serve as the budget committee for the city of Starkville. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion?
It is, yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the merits?
I just feel that since there are 4 new members on the board, it would be very beneficial for all of us to have an opportunity to really meet with the department heads and look deep into their budgets and see where the needs are and, you know, help enlighten us as to where the revenues are and where the needs are.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to that, if I can. I'd like to amend the committee as a whole to include Scott Maynard, Alderman Maynard, as chair of that committee.
All right, the amendment that's been offered as friendly, which can be taken without objection, is to name Scott Maynard as the chair of the committee as a whole, which will serve as the budget committee. Is there any objection to that? Objection, objection. All right, seeing none, that now becomes part of the main motion. So it's a motion to name the committee of the whole with Alderman Maynard as the chief. And we're now still in discussion on that motion. Discussion. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? It's unanimous. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of making appointments for vacancies on the Parks Commission. Discussion. Alderman Perkins.
Mr. Mayor, it's been my experience since my 20 years on the board, that it, of course, is different with any board, but if we have an incumbent who expresses interest in being reappointed, then that's what I have consistently done, but of course, that's not binding upon any board member. But keeping in practice with what I have done over the years, and also what I just recently did with regard to Mr. H.W. Webb, who was seeking reappointment for the Board of Justice and Appeals, I fully supported that. So I'm going to offer a motion to reappoint Ms. Dorothy Isaac, whose term expired on the 3rd day of June of 2013, to another term. And to my knowledge, Ms. Isaac has served the city of Starkville extremely well in her capacity as a member of the Park Commission. I'm offering a motion that she be reappointed to another term on the Starkville Park Commission.
Motion has been made by Alderman Perkins to reappoint Dorothy Isaac to the Parks Commission for the term expiring on 6/30/2020. Alderman Perkins, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
I'm second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Perkins, do you speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any
Hi, I just have a question concerning the Parks Commission. As mentioned earlier, we have potentially 3 or 4 positions to be filled this evening on that commission. Looking at who's currently there, we don't have any representation from Ward 1. We have 2 representatives from Ward 6. Can somebody tell me, is that because of the redistricting that occurred, is why we have 2 representatives from Ward 6?
Alderman Perkins.
It's due to the redistricting, but we went over at the last term that the ordinance does not mandate that we just have one person from one ward. It saves it whenever practical, but it has language in it, and we addressed that. So yes, 2 came about due to the redistricting. Just to be specific to the gentleman from Ford, Mr. Moreland, at the time that he was appointed, he was a resident of Ward 1. So with the redistricting, he became a resident of Ward 6. So it came about as due to redistricting. So my motion, Mr. Mayor, is for Ms. Isaac to be reappointed.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Perkins' motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 6 in favor with 1 against, this measure carries. And you have further appointments to make, so we will continue discussing. Alderman Maynard.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to introduce Ms. Keisha Perry to the board. I provided a copy of her resume. She provided a letter of interest to be on the board. Ms. Perry is completing her PhD in public policy and administration and currently works with the Kellogg Foundation. She has worked in the past with the Stennis Institute of Government, Community Development, and also as an intern at the Parks and Recreation Department. Based on her extensive knowledge of grant writing and management, budget management, and her experience in Parks and Recreation, I move that Ms. Keisha Perry to fill out the vacated position of myself, Scott Maynard, on the Starkville Parks and Recreation Commission.
Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to appoint Keisha Perry to fill the term vacated by Scott Maynard on the Starkville Parks Commission. Alderman Maynard, that's your motion. Do I hear a second? The motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, you wish to speak on the merits.
Ms. Perry will do an excellent job on the Park Commission. Her background and knowledge in grant writing, plus.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Maynard's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vaughn.
we got one more Ward 7.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we've actually got, I believe, 2 more appointments to make, so we'll continue this line of discussion.
But Mr.
Alderman
Mayor,
Vaughn.
replacing Chris Taylor, he resigned from the position. But I would like to appoint Ms. Betty Ann Robinson to that position because she's been an employee down there with program for a long time. She just seen a lot of young kids in and out of the program, but she has very kids in the program, in the city and in park and recreation now. So I would like to appoint Ms. Betty Ann Robinson to that position, Ward 7.
Motion made by Alderman Vaughn is to appoint Betty Robertson to fill the term on the Parks Commission vacated by Chris Taylor. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Vaughn's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda, or excuse me, still in the same matter on the agenda, one final appointment, and that is the very recently vacated term of Ray Berry Hill. Discussion.
I move we appoint Lawson Graves to fill that vacancy.
Motion has been made by Alderman Little to appoint Lawson Graves to fill the vacated term of Ray Berryhill on the Starkville Parks Commission. Alderman Little, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Little, do you wish to speak on the merits?
Lawson Graves was born and raised here, he's lived here all of his life, in short stint in the Jackson area. Mississippi State graduate, he's got 2 young children coming up in the pipeline, ages I think 4 and 2. His wife's also a lifelong resident here, Joy Wolf Graves. They're gonna be here, he's got a vested interest, he grew up playing baseball in the parks there, and has coached for about the past 6 years. Kids that weren't his kids, and just on a voluntary basis, and shows where his heart's at. And I feel like he would look to have the best interest of the parks.
Further discussion. Alderman Mayor.
While I fully support this motion, I believe his term, his resignation is not effective until July 31st. Right. I guess my question is, can we proceed with this at this point?
Let's be consistent on that position because we did not appoint the last go round and the vacancies were not yet vacant. So I would advise that we hold off on that one until the vacancy actually materializes.
All right. Do I hear a motion to table?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to table the motion before us. Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries. The matter is tabled. The next matter on the agenda has been rendered moot as both of the individuals have since been appointed to the Parks Commission. So without objection, I'm going to move through. Any objection? Seeing none, the next matter on the agenda is the consideration of making appointments to the Municipal Election Commission. Discussion. Do I hear any discussion? You have 4 applicants for 5 positions. Alderman Carter.
I move approval of adding Nancy Walsh to the Municipal Election Commission.
Motion has been made by Alderman Carver to appoint Nancy Walsh to the Municipal Elections Commission. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes.
Question, did anyone of these just wanted to, be reappointed to this position in the commission right now? Does anyone want to be reappointed? That's the only one want to be reappointed.
Alderman Vaughn.
I would like for the board to reappoint Ms. Kayla Gilmore back to the commission of election commission, please.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Kayla Gilmore to the Municipal Election Commission. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. You have up to 2 more appointments that you can make. Actually, you could fill all 3, but you have 2 more applicants. Alderman Vaughn.
I'd like to appoint Ms. Julia Williams.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to appoint Julia Williams to the Municipal Elections Commission. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits? Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. You have 1 appointment, you have 1 applicant remaining and 2 appointments that could be made.
Mayor, I'd like to-
Alderman Perkins.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we appoint Ms. Alfred Outlaw to the election commission.
Motion has been made by Alderman Perkins to appoint Alfreda Outlaw to the Elections Commission. Alderman Perkins, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Perkins, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right, let's do it by show of hands. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. Alderman Carver, was that a yea or a nay?
It's a yea.
All right, so by a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, this measure passes. You do have an application from PC McLaurin that did not make it into the packet. So
When was
if
that
you so
submitted?
choose, that would fill your complement of election.
Submitted today.
Submitted recently.
I
Friday.
submitted it, somebody- you got somebody else on
Does the board wish to take further action on this matter? Alderman Carver.
If no one has any objections, I'd like to move to add PC McLaurin to the Municipal Election Commission.
Motion has been made by Alderman Carver to appoint PC McLaurin to the Municipal Elections Commission. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Nay.
All right, I've got it as 6 in favor with 1 against. Was there anyone other than Alderman Nguyen that was opposed? All right, that concludes your appointments to the Municipal Election Commission. I do have that at 5. I got 5 appointments. All right, you have appointed your Municipal Election Commission. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of reappointing D-Lynn Spruill as Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm going to make a few comments at the outset of considering reappointments. It is my recommendation that each and every one of these department heads be reappointed. I have had the pleasure of working with these fine men and women over the course of the last 4 years. And I can tell you that their devotion to this city is unmatched. I have witnessed them over nights and weekends doing work that was well beyond anything that is required in a job description they have with the city of Starkville. So I hope you will choose to reappoint. I will offer some housekeeping in the event that there is detailed discussions beyond just a motion to reappoint and a quick approval, I would strongly advise that those discussions go into executive session because those discussions will almost certainly be on the topic of personnel performance, which is absolutely a legally permissible reason to go into executive session. And out of respect for the employee and also for the legal protection of the city, the prudent thing to do is to have those discussions in executive session. Discussion.
Mayor,
Alderman Maynard.
again, in light of the fact that we have 4 new board members on this board and the requirement of state statute that we have to appoint people without ever having the opportunity to work with them makes it a bit challenging. It's my understanding, and I guess I would clarify with council, based on the statute, all officers and appointees so appointed shall hold office at the pleasure of the governing authority, that being us, and they may be discharged by such governing authorities at any time, either with or without cause.
You read that accurately. I see you reading from statute. That's correct.
With that said, I would certainly agree with you, and I would like to see all of the current department heads reappointed, knowing that we will have the opportunity to evaluate them over time and make decisions at a later date about their performance.
Is that a motion?
That would be a motion to adopt them in their entirety.
Okay. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve items K through W, right? I guess that's your contract. Those matters are as follows. Reappointing D. Lynn Spruill as the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Taylor B. Adams as the City Clerk and Director of Finance of the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-3. Reappointing David Lindley as the Police Chief of the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-3. Reappointing Randy Boyd as the Personnel Officer for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Rodney Favor as the Municipal Judge for the City of Starkville in accordance with Section 21-23-3. Reappointing Caroline Moore as the City Prosecutor for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-23-3. Reappointing Roger Mann as the Fire Chief for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Joel Clements as the Information Technology Director for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Emma Gibson Gandy as the Director of Sanitation and Environmental Services in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Doug Devlin as the Director of Public Services in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing William Snowden as the Director of Community Development in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Tony Rook as the Court Administrator in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Reappointing Terry Kemp as the Head of the Electric Department in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion? It is. Do I hear a second?
Can an amendment to add the newly added Z that lists all other municipal employees, not just on the list that were K through W?
I tell you what, let's not take that one right now as a matter of order, because that would break the order of the agenda. You would have to skip
one.
and that actually should have been Y. I made a mistake.
That is affected access.
At any rate. Do I hear a second for Alderman Maynard's motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Walker. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the merits? Discussion. Do I hear any discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Maynard's motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 2 in favor with 5 against, this motion fails. We're back in discussion on the reappointment of Dee Lynn Spruill as the Chief Administrative Officer.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
State your motion.
I move not to reappoint Dee Lynn Spruill to her position as Chief Administrative Officer and that she be removed from her position effective immediately, provided that she has until 5 p.m. on July 3rd, 2013 to clean out her office and exit the premises. And I reduce this into writing out and move.
All right, Alderman Carver has made a motion that he has reduced to writing, and I have it writing and in presenting it to the clerk as he has read it. I will not reread it without objection. Any objection? Any objection? All right, seeing none, do I hear a second to Alderman Carver's motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Discussion. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing no board discussion, I will take the opportunity to, I guess, offer some discussion and clarification as to the series of events that would transpire should this motion pass. I do plan to veto this motion and would plan to veto this motion as soon as is legally permissible to do so. In the event that the motion is passed, it will require an overriding veto to effectuate the motion. At this time, is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
I would just like to offer, again, I agree with Alderman Maynard that being new to this board, having met the department heads and only speaking with them for half an hour or so, it's easy to go on what hearsay is, what other people have said, but I feel like statute says, this board has the right at any time to hire and fire. And I need to, before I can have somebody's career, anybody's livelihood questioned, I need a little more firsthand information. So some evaluation time, I think, is the fair and reasonable thing to do, and I would hope others would agree.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, at this time we will move into a roll call vote on Alderman Carver's motion. Please answer yea, nay, or abstain as the clerk calls your name.
Okay. Board, in the last term, we were I guess when I first came on the board, asked me to go 1 to 7 sometimes, 7 to 1 sometimes, and then start in the middle. This is the first vote of the new. We'll start with 1 and work our way through. So please call your vote as I call your name. Alderman Carver.
Yay.
Alderman Lynn.
Yay.
Alderman Little. Alderman Walker.
No.
Alderman Maynard. Alderman Perkins. Alderman Vaughn.
Yay.
5-2.
By a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, this motion passes. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of reappointing Taylor Adams as the city clerk. Discussion.
Same move. Move reappointing Taylor Adams as city clerk and director of finance of the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 21-3-3.
Motion has been made by Alderman Carver to reappoint Taylor Adams as the city clerk and director of finance of the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-3. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the reappointment of David Lindley as the police chief.
Say move.
A motion has been made by Alderman Carver to reappoint David Lindley as the police chief to the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-3-3. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Carver, you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion, any discussion, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of the reappointment of Randy Boyd as the personnel officer for the city of Starkville.
Might be recognized.
Alderman Vaughn.
I move to reappoint Randy Boyd, personnel officer for a 90 days review period to conclude September 30, 2013, to provide the board additional time to review its performance.
And Alderman Vaughn, have you reduced that motion to writing?
Yes, it is.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn. He has stated it. It has been reduced to writing. It is now placed with the clerk without objection. I will not reread it. Any objection? Any objection? Seeing none, is there a second to Alderman Vaughn's motion?
I second that.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Alderman Vaughn's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of reappointing Rodney Favor as municipal judge for the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-23-3. Discussion.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Rodney Favor as municipal judge for the city of Starkville in accordance with section 21-23-3. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the merit? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of reappointing Caroline Moore as the city prosecutor for the city of Starkville. Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Caroline Moore as the city of prosecutor for the city of Starkville in accordance with section 21-23-3. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the merits?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the reappointment of Roger Mann as the fire chief. Discussion. Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Roger Mann as the fire chief of the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. Y'all speak up on the voice vote. The next matter on the agenda is Alderman Vaughn has made a motion to reappoint Joel Clements as the Information Technology Director for the city of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter, motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Emma Gibson Gandy as the Director of Sanitation and Environmental Services in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion?
Motion.
Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by, I didn't see, by Alderman Little. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the matter? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Doug Devlin as the Director of Public Services in accordance with Mississippi Code section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion? Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the merits? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda. Which one was that? Was that
No.
The next matter on the agenda is the reappointment of William Snowden as the Director of the Community Development Department in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the merits?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the reappointment of Tony Rook. Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Tony Rook as the Court Administrator for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the matter? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda, a motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to reappoint Terry Kemp as the head of the electric department for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
I second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the matter?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the consideration of the contract and approval of reappointing Chris. Oh, yeah. Okay. Are you going to present the contract? Okay. Consideration of the contract and approval for Chris Latimer and Mitchell McNutt. Discussion. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve the contract and approve of reappointing Chris Latimer and Mitchell McNutt Sands as the city attorney for the city of Starkville as presented. Alderman Maynard, is that your motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Vaughn. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. And the next matter on the agenda, I guess because I inappropriately called it item C, is still item C. Yeah. And that is pursuant to 21-3-5, the reappointment of all city employees. Discussion.
Wouldn't that effectively negate the prior?
The attempt would be to all employees that were not specifically listed in here. Yes.
Discussion.
Same move.
Motion has been made by Alderman Carver to reappoint all city employees consistent with Mississippi Code Section 21-3-5. Alderman Carver, is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Alderman Walker. Alderman Carver, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Alderman Burton.
Mr. Mayor, just want to make sure the record is clear before I take this vote. I don't think you succinctly stated the motion. The motion, I think, is to appoint all other city employees that were not specifically enumerated in the prior motion. I think since we speak to our minutes, we need to be really clear on that.
Yes, and for clarification purpose, let me spread on the minutes as clear that the motion as I have it is for all employees not specifically enumerated as department heads. Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is a public hearing on 5 dilapidated properties and request for authority to mitigate due to public health safety and due to public safety and health hazards using city resources as available, contracting for the demolition as necessary and in accordance with 21-19-11. The 5 properties at issue are 19 Canal Street, 123 Ernest B. Jones, 727 South Jackson Street, 231 Long Street, 516 West Main Street. The subject at issue is whether the board will declare a public health and safety hazard associated with the property. You may.
The one is 231 Long Street, that one completed. So, discuss that. The one at 12300 Jones, Mr. Kemp, we asked for a 30-day extension on that one. One at 12300 Jones Drive, we were asking for a 30-day extension on that one. It's the one you and I talked about last meeting. 721 South Jackson, that's the one we asked for a 6 months extension on. Someone's supposed to be here tonight representing, which one of these, Ms. Poole, you remember? Which
Me,
one,
sir?
someone's supposed to be here tonight representing one of
It would be
these?
the 19 Canal Street.
19 Canal Street. Okay. It's okay for us to come forward, Mr. Mayor.
It is, and we will have a full-blown public hearing as soon as the board members are finished making
Just
comments.
wait a few minutes. Okay, and the one is 19 Canal, I don't have any information on that. The one for 19 Canal Street too? 17 Canal Street. Okay, 16 West Main. Proceed, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so Alderman Vaughn, is it my understanding that 231 Long Street will not be at issue in this public hearing?
It's done, it's completed.
Okay, is there any objection from the members of the board to 231 Long Street not being a matter for consideration of the public hearing? Any objection? Any objection? All right, seeing none, we'll move into the public comment portion of the public hearing. And the properties at issue are 17 Canal Street, 123 Ernest B. Jones, 721 South Jackson Street, 516 West Main Street. At issue is the board declaring a public health and safety hazard associated with these properties. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak with respect to those properties?
I've heard 17 Canal Street twice, but I have 19 Canal Street.
Yeah, it is 19 in the agenda. It was just clarified as 17. Now, for purpose of total clarification, all of these are listed in our packet by parcel number, and that is the most precise. I just use address because it is the shortest form. I'll tell you what, for the sake of that property, since there don't seem to be any issues with the other properties, let's read that parcel number so it is understood the property that we're discussing. Thank you. That is parcel number 102H-00-024.00. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak with respect to any of those properties and them potentially being declared a public health and safety hazard? You may come forward.
Good evening. My name is Mary Moses, and I'd like to speak in behalf of 17 Canal Street. And what I'm here for is to ask for extended time in order to get rid of that dilapidated house
How much time would you like to request?
for 6 months or more, if possible.
Request has been made, let the record reflect, for a minimum of 6 months extension. And that's with respect to which property?
On 17 Canal Street.
17. Do you have any further comments? Thank you, Ms. Moses. Are there any further comments with respect to any of these properties? Any further comments? Any further comments? Any further comments? Seeing none, that will close the public comment portion of the public hearing, and we'll move into consideration of the item, which is the four remaining properties, 17 Canal Street, 123 Ernest B. Jones, 721 South Jackson Street, 516 West Main Street. Discussion. Alderman Vaughn.
Yeah, 721 South Jackson, they had asked for a 6 months extension. They were here at the last board meeting, and I thought we had got that granted, but my daughter did. And then on the 120B on his Jones, they asked for 2 to 3 days, but I asked Mr. Kemp to give them a 30 day because I feel like that's enough time anyway. So those two, I asked for some extension time on those two myself. And the other one, I put on it about 516 West Main. That's my ward, but I don't.
So you would request an extension on 17 Canal Street, 123 Ernest B. Jones, and 721 South Jackson.
Yes, sir, please.
All right, well, right now we have no motion pending, so a declaration of some sort needs to be made, otherwise there is no issue.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that on these 3 horses right here, 719 Canal Street, be granted 6 months minimum. 123 Ernest Jones Street, 30 days minimum. 721 South Jackson Street, 6 months minimum.
And do you want to make a declaration with respect to 516 West Main Street?
Please.
Yeah, the city attorney raised a good point. You said 6 months minimum. Is that a minimum period, or do you intend for that to be a maximum period?
By 6 months.
By 6 months, maximum.
So 6 months maximum.
Right.
Yes, sir.
6 months and 30 days, 1 month.
All right, so Alderman Vaughn with the proposed motion to be to delay the consideration of declaring 17 Canal Street a public safety and health hazard for a maximum of 6 months. Delay considering whether to declare 123 Ernest B. Jones as a public safety and health hazard for a maximum of 30 days. To delay considering whether to declare 721 South Jackson Street a public safety and health hazard for a maximum of 6 months, and making a declaration that 516 West Main Street is a public safety and health hazard, and authorizing the use of city resources as available and contracting for the demolition as necessary and in accordance with section 21-19-11 of the Mississippi Code. Alderman Vaughn, is that your motion? Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been seconded by Alderman Perkins. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the merits?
Yeah, I requested that because I talked to the homeowners and they requested a little time to get these dilapidated houses removed. That's why I requested an extension on whatever they had.
Further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. The next matter on the agenda is the request for approval of the City of Starkville claims docket for the fire department as of June 27, 2013.
We're accusing Seth, Mayor.
All right, we'll give Alderman Carver a moment to exit the room. Discussion. Discussion on the claims docket for the fire department. There is no motion pending. Alderman Perkins.
You may want to just brief the new board members what this is about, because going on how he's going to vote, we vote consistently against it, so you maybe just want to explain it to them so they'll understand what's going on.
The claims docket is every purchase that is to be made by the city. And under our form of government, the Board of Aldermen has to approve every expenditure of the city. So this is, at the board meeting, you will typically have 2 claims dockets. You will have a fire department claims docket that is broken out because Alderman Carver's father is employed by the fire department, so he has a conflict that does not allow him to vote on paying expenditures by the fire department. And you will have the general claims docket, which includes all expenditures in that period made by the city. city can't pay those expenditures without your approval. Anything that happens as a result of the city's non-payment, because you have not authorized those expenditures, you are potentially liable for if you don't authorize them. On the same token, if you authorize any expenditures that are inappropriate and the city incurs any liability, you could be personally liable under Mississippi law, which is one of the big reasons that each of you has signed a bond prior to coming to this meeting. Discussion. If we don't approve.
So moved. So moved.
Alderman Vaughn has made a motion to approve the City of Starkville claims docket for the fire department as of June 27, 2013. Alderman Vaughn, that's your motion. Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Little. Alderman Vaughn, do you wish to speak on the matter?
No, sir.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 4 in favor with 2 against, the measure passes. You now have before you a request for approval of the claims docket for all departments except for the fire department as of June 27th. Discussion. Motion has been made by Alderman Maynard to approve of the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments except for the fire department as of June 27th. Alderman Maynard, that's your motion. Do I hear a second? Second. Motion's been seconded by Alderman Carver. Alderman Maynard, do you wish to speak on the matter? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay.
Take that out back.
All right, let's do it by show of hands. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed, please signify by raising your hand. By a vote of 5 in favor with 2 against, this measure passes. All right, that concludes the open session portion of our agenda. You do have one matter potentially for executive session, a motion to go into closed session to determine whether there's a need for an executive session. Motion has been made by Alderman Vaughn to go into closed session to determine whether there is a need for an executive session. Alderman Vaughn, that's your motion. Do I hear a second? Motion has been seconded by Alderman Maynard. Alderman Vaughn, you wish to speak on the matter? No, sir. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Saying none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Measure clearly passes. At this time, I'll ask that everyone clear the room so the board can go into a closed session to determine whether there is a need for an executive session.